All right, this is the second demonstration on positive-negative space drawing. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit closer. You can see the previous one was the silhouette of a deer. When I did draw this image, I was looking at a picture that already had the negative and positive isolated. Now this is a little more realistic photo of two gentlemen with a basketball. So from this image, I have a little more challenge because the positive space is there with all the detail. So I need to resist looking at the positive and focus on the negative space so that I can make this accurate. After it is outlined correctly, I can fill in the positive spaces and know that everything is spaced out accurately. So I'm going to begin the same way I began with the last one. I'm going to look for the midpoint from one edge to the other, and the shape is isolated. Whatever this shape is, I drew the exact same proportion shape on the right. So here's the center or the midpoint, and I'll go down to the bottom and I'll put another tick mark here to isolate the bottom or identify the bottom. And then on the left side here and straight across to here. Okay, I'll take these same measurements or same midpoints, bring them over to the format I'm drawing in. Top, bottom, something about like that. Alright, so I usually like to start with the smallest space, and that's down here, so I'm going to draw this space first. So looking at the midpoint, how far is it to the edge of this positive space? It's a little less than halfway, so I'm going to mark that. And then on the right side, I'm going to look at how far down it is to the bottom of that positive space, and it's just a little distance, so right about there. So now I'm going to look at the angle of the shape. It angles in and down, and it's quite irregular. It's a natural shape, so the first part is a little bit of a curve, and then it angles down, and I see where I need to go. So I'm going to start up from the bottom a little bit and let this bump come in to kind of show those weird angles, and then there's that first shape. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to fill it in. I'm going to move on to the next shape. The next shape I think I'm going to do is the larger shape on the outside here. Just to simplify, I'm going to leave this inside positive or negative space alone until last. The next negative shape I see starts over here, and it's very close to the edge, so I'll just mark that. It's about there. And I'm going to look at that edge, just like contour line drawing, following that edge, going up. Now I'm following it out. Looks like it comes close to the edge right here, but not quite, doesn't hit it. There's a little bit of the head missing, and I'll shade that in so you can see it. Down from the midpoint, doesn't quite touch, so I'm going to bring this in and then up. And it curves around and down. Well, this is where it gets hard to resist looking at the features of the face. I'm just trying to draw the negative shapes on the outside. And this touches. So right about here is where the midpoint lines cross this image. So I'm going to make those lines a little stronger in my drawing. And this goes up. And then in this part of the image I see a little bit of negative space. It comes around here. It goes up, and the distance between this midpoint line and the shape there, pretty close. There's another bump right there, and that looks like it's a little too close to the top, so I'm going to erase and bring that back. This maybe is like that little bump, and then this curves up, and then there's another bump here, here, and oops. This distance from here to here is not equal to what I'm seeing there. So I need to shift this part over and make this space smaller. So if I look at this space first, it comes over, gets really close to the top right about there, and that's pretty close. I think this space might be a little bit smaller. That shape might be a little bit smaller. Okay, so I'm going to call this good for now and leave it for a few minutes until I'm ready to turn it over. Now the last interior negative space is right here, and I'm going to look at where's the midpoint and how far is it to that edge. And I see this edge pretty clearly. So I'm going to start right there. And it comes along that side. And then in here, I can see where this line goes. There's a really small negative space there. And then on this side it curves around. Now this looks very narrow to me, so I'm guessing there's something wrong with that shape. And then I'm just going to bring that up and try and finish it. Now, just like before, I'm going to turn it over, flip it over, sorry, turn it upside down. And I'm going to bring it up and look at it. Now, there are some things. I just need a minute to look at it. This curve looks a little weird. This curve right here, I see, just needs a bit of a change. There, comes out a little more. And that goes up. I think that's okay. And then inside here, this curve is pretty awkward, so I'm going to try and draw over it first before I erase, so I can see what is wrong or right with it. And I'll bring it around. That looks okay. I think I'm okay with the shape. I'm going to erase the extra parts here and see if that looks more accurate. It's a pretty curvy angle. This part of the arm looks like it might be a little bit wider. So I'm going to remove that. So from here I think I have a pretty accurate positive negative space drawing, and now I could draw in my details to make the image look more real if I wanted, or if I just wanted to make it a little more graphic, I could turn the negative space dark and leave the positive space white. So this is your second demonstration of positive negative space. You can do this exercise from any image that you find. Magazine images are great for this, especially the space between people or around people. Another image that works really well is this one, between the boy and the figure here. You can see the negative space between his chin and his shoulder, and between the top of the cross and his face would help you get all these outlines correctly done. So, but remember, when you do start this process, you have to draw a box or shape around the area you want to draw, and draw the exact same box or shape proportion on your paper.